You can call it a game, but I call it escape building generals.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good day, good middle of the night. Hello, everybody. Welcome to EvonyBites again, another episode here. We're going to keep it on the defense theme and try to stay focused today. I tell you what, I have spent a long time trying to figure out how to do this particular video or even move into this realm. And of all the time I've been playing since around 2009 or so, PC and then mobile now, which I haven't understood this near that long. But in all that time, I've never broken into really explaining this because, first off, I've just not had all the data together, but it's hard. It's hard to get into all this stuff. So nobody really does too much into the mechanics because, first off, we're all guesstimating. I'll just put that out there right now. Everybody's guesstimating. So take everybody's idea, take the good, the bad, try to get what you can from it. I'm guesstimating too. I think I'm right. It's how I function. It's how I do things. But instead of pitching to you how I think it works, I'm just going to go through and literally read out and show you it working. And then, you guys take from it what you want. And then we can have discussion about that in comments or whatever you want to do. But instead of saying, here's my hypothesis, let me just show you something. You know what I mean? And just tell me what you think of this. Someone made a comment, yeah, I haven't gone into my gear or my troops composition, which I kind of did. I mean, I showed the gear and I showed the troops. But instead of just explaining all of my troops, I want to get into them one troop at a time. And we're going with Siege today. Siege is my favorite. Siege is, I would argue, less understood maybe than any other troop, less used, although that's increasing. But I mean, amongst the general population of everybody playing Ebony, Siege is little used. And if it is, it's because somebody said, hey, you should build Siege. So, you just built some. You see Siege a lot in high battle. By high battle, I mean larger accounts, mature accounts, billions plus that are mature fighting. You see Siege a lot, but those aren't the majority of players, actually. Those are the majority of fighters in, say, server war. But the majority of players aren't at all playing with Siege like that, whether they have them. So let's just jump off this little video here with the hardest one, which I think is Siege to explain. What I'm going to show you is, first off, let's just jump right in. And I saved this particular report because it really highlights what I'm talking about here in a nice manner. Why did all these reports appear again? You guys notice this when you delete reports and crap out of Ebony, it comes back. It's really annoying. Okay, I think this is the this is a report. Okay, so Mr. Calicles, forgive me if I'm saying that wrong. It looks a lot like Calicles. Cheers to you, brother. It's been a couple weeks maybe since we faced each other, and you were amazing. And this is an amazing attack, and I enjoyed it. So, what do we got here? We got a 10.1 billion attacking us. I don't remember what it was. Probably K40 or something. He's losing 239 million. His backup's losing just under 500 million. I'm losing 147 million. So we've had a lot of comments and a lot of interest and a lot of intrigue on folks wondering how I take a siege attack, or if I could take a siege attack, or assuming a siege attack might murder me. Well, here you guys go. Here's an example. And yes, of course, you'd be like, well, that's one example. Okay, but I mean, it's a pretty pure example. Okay, it's a good one. What do you want from me? All right, so here's a nice siege rally coming in. He's got a level 41 John Churchill and level 41 Palace. And they're pretty decked. He's got one awakened. So things are looking good. Tech not bad. We'll take a look at that on what came in on a lead. And again, no, we're not pushing 3,000 numbers here, but nobody is. We're just not there and where I'm at. So 2,000 is really where folks are kind of pushing. And he's there on his siege coming in. Got all right debuffs. Obviously, minor smoking that right there for the most part. I got pretty good siege debuffs because, again, I'm focused on siege and I bounce siege. I'm really good at taking siege defenses. Let's go into the battle detail because this is what I really want to get into. This is the meat and taters. Real quick, you can see there's 4 of these folks incoming. We'll just take a pop at who's incoming. All right, so they sent a nice pure siege wave. Now, when you go in here and take a peek, see, let's just look at what is being injured in my workload here and what is doing the injuring. And many of you probably know this, and if you do, you can skip on, go to the next video. When it comes to siege. But if you don't know and you're intrigued and you want to know, keep looking. So we have just a little bit of activity here on ground, which is understandable because ground are very slow due to all their heavy armor. They're very strong, but they're very slow, so they sort of stay at the back of the field, and they end up getting caught up in this just a little bit. Those high tier ground, they particularly get caught up in this a little bit. But then you'll see that fall off, and there won't really be anything touched on my side or theirs other than siege from now on. And look at the ratio. So comes in here at T14. You can see that I took out 4.2 million of theirs, and I lost 894. Keep that in mind. I took out a lot of theirs, and I only took out a very small amount of mine. Out of 6.7 there, I've got plenty of it going. Okay, ground, nothing happens here. Archers, nothing happens here. There's like no activity. Mounted, just really no activity here. A couple horses slipped through and got popped. We come to siege here. Look at these siege T13. I killed 3.4 million and lost 0. That's important on that T13. Okay, ground 12, nothing. Archers 12, a little because archers engage. Okay, we'll get to that. Mounted 12, nothing really. And then again, we got siege 12 coming in here again with 1.7 million and 0 lost. Get down here to siege machine 11. Next thing that's in activity, and I kill 1 million, only lose 175,000. You keep coming down, and there's really nothing in the fight at this point until we get back down here again to siege tier 4, and you see that I lost 1 million, and they didn't even get in a fight. This is looking strange. This should be looking strange to you. Again, we got nothing. Then we got T3 siege. I lost 1 million, but they didn't kill anything. And then you skip on down here again. T2 lost 1 million. They didn't kill anything. Get down to T1 siege, lost 372,000. They killed a couple. Okay. So to recap here, my siege did all the fighting. Essentially, we can say mass majority of the fighting my siege did. That may not be a surprise to most people, as siege fight siege. Siege engage siege first, as primarily. When there's a heavy siege presence on both sides, it's kind of a siege fight. In fact, it's almost exclusively a siege fight. That's not a hypothesis. That should be well known, and that's what you're seeing right here. I got attacked with high tier, pure tier siege incoming, and it engaged my pure, almost all tier, but mostly high tier siege pure. So siege, fight siege. That's what you're seeing here. Now, I think more important to everybody is the breakdown on why I came out victorious. When in most cases, when someone sends a rally at you like this with siege, they're going to hurt you. Now, if you're rather accomplished and you've got a nice account going, your defense is pretty good, your defense is pretty good, and you have decent size to you, then you can win the siege attack, meaning the report's not going to say you lost. You might still have a boatload of your troops left. In fact, you might still have most of your troops left or most of your power left. However, you may have lost the point exchange, and you probably did, and you probably lost a boatload of siege, if not all your high tier siege, and then some of your archers, because once your siege were eliminated, your archers would have began to get hit pretty hard. So this is the normal effect, and people can count on it. So they send these awesome siege waves and these siege rallies because it's damning. So even if they lose the wave, they know that it's okay to sacrifice it for points positive, and to possibly follow that up with another attack, which would be much more devastating because of the lack of siege now in the defensive account. So people assume it's safe to do that. I assume they assume that, so I play on their assumption, and I defeat siege first. It's my main focus. So my methodology and thinking here might get complex here, and I'm going to try hard for it not to. I mean, it may get complex for me. I may lose my thought and my speaking here, but I'm going to try if I just keep it simple. Somehow, now defense gets to go first. So if you attack somebody, automatically, essentially, they're attacking you first. It's kind of strange. So you hit go, your march attacks into someone else's city. You would think that you swing the sword first, but technically they do. So defense gets that sort of bonus for being the one that was attacked, and they hit first. Well, that's interesting because if you have a powerful enough siege presence and a lot of siege, then what's going to and lot is the key. Once they are powerful, it's not just enough to get them powerful. You need gobs of them, essentially. You need a lot of them, a proportioned amount. What happens is in that initial attack, you devastate absolutely so many of the siege in a siege on siege engage that the rounds are shortened way down. So a round, essentially, if you don't know, forgive me if you do, is the battle kicks off, and in that instantaneous second that a report appears for you, what actually happens is a full-blown battlefield that says go, and all the forces attack each other. But this happens in a turn-based scenario. This turn, this side goes, then this side goes, then this side goes, then this side goes. Well, on a pure siege defense, you play that to your advantage. And most battles, due to layering and so many different layers and so many different troops, are engaged in a boatload of battles. I mean, there might be a lot of battles. This is not stated anywhere in a report or in Evony how many battles take place, so it's very difficult to get a read on that. But if you were to be able to do that, it would be a lot. Well, in a siege battle particularly, you can cut that way down to just a couple rounds, because what determines how many rounds there is when one side has no more troops to fight. When one side is out of troops, the battle is over. So how many rounds does it take to get there, and who's still standing? So it's a battle of attrition, really. So their siege are coming at you. If you're able to match all of their siege, kill majority of their siege, that round passes, you still have a bunch of siege left, but you've damaged the hell out of their siege. It moves through your tiers of mass siege. They all take hits from that, all knocking them down to next to nothing. The ones that only take mass damage after that round is over and their siege that are left is far less. The only ones that really take damage, you'll notice in that point, are the smaller tier. Those are the ones taking it sort of on the second hit, because when return fire happens, it happens in a different sequence. But for defense, now round 2 comes, the enemy is just absolutely pulverized because the mass amount of siege that you have was able to attack very efficiently first in the first round. Now the second round happens, and you also get to attack first again. With an absolute mass of siege in a very powerful manner, if you're able to hit the enemy first in a pure siege on siege, you knock the crap out of them again. And then as they move down to the tier 14 siege, tier 13 siege, tier 12 siege, tier 11 siege, the enemies attacking siege has so little HP and defense left, they just fall over dead when stuff hits them. So now the T13 just knocks the crap out of them on the second round or third round, fourth round, however many it takes to get there. But hypothetically, in this case, second round, the T13 knocks the snot out of them, as you see in the report. Why is that? That is because as the enemy has been hit twice by you, first by your mass of siege all the way down, they have been pulverized. So by the time they step to the T13, they just fall over. Right? They just, when they hit, this is happening T13, T12, T11, they just fall due to attrition. You've created a situation in which the siege just can't keep up with yours. Simple math equation. Now, I will caveat this by saying that doesn't mean all you have to do is get some good siege stats and then build a bunch of siege. It's obviously far more complicated than that. Why? Because there are other troop types and so many other things that affect a battle, defense or attack otherwise, that you have to have this perfect harmony. Everything else has to complement the usage of the siege in such an explained manner that we just went over. Yes, the siege worked that way for me, but not just because they're there. So there's this harmony. Now don't worry, it's not a cliffhanger, really. I'm going to keep doing these videos on troops, and we'll tie all these troops together, how they work, how they function in a battle on a surface level. This is introduction here. I know I'm keeping it simple. You're probably like, wait, but what? But wait a minute, but you didn't explain, this guy didn't even go over. Yeah, no, I didn't. I'm trying to keep it real simple here. You guys go study. You go look at it. You go look at some different things, and you see how that works for you. But just keep in mind what I'm saying, how that works on the siege, and I'm showing it to you. So, if you're welcome to come in comments. Obviously, I don't control comments. You come in them and say whatever you want, do whatever you want. But show me also what you're talking about if you disagree, and if you've also got reports that back this up, and you can show this and you agree. Let me see that too, man. Let's check it out. I'm really excited about this portion and getting into this, and we'll get into the future troops on other future videos and start tying this thing together in a harmonious way. But consider Wood Siege. They come in pure, and they mostly target siege. So instead of trying to counter that in some strange way, it's sort of like some martial arts where instead of, if someone takes a swing at you, you step into it and hit them. That's sort of meeting a brick wall. Instead, you just take a step back and let their momentum carry them right past you. It's sort of a passive aggressive way of approaching it. So use the siege's strength against the siege, right? So its strength is also its weakness. Understanding how a siege works is allowing you to dissect siege on both sides of things. So attrition, power, there's only so much HP and defense on both sides. There's only so many siege, and they can only attack so hard. Well, who can overwhelm the other one in one way or another? Doesn't matter how you do it. Overwhelm that situation in siege, and you don't really have to worry about the rest of the troops. It really doesn't have anything to do with anything. Who cares about the rest of the troops? As you see in my report, they were useless. They didn't do anything. Now, they're in a harmonious manner as a whole unit in the way that they react in my account, but individually or as tiers, they didn't get involved and they didn't do much. Before I close the video, just to see what the troop loadout looks like here, I believe I already went over this in the video, but just to look at it again, and how the siege numbers lay out next to the other troops here, it's easier to see. How I do keep siege just slightly higher, or at least on the high end of my numbers. So we've got to be represented in really high numbers to be able to win the attrition battle. In T13, you can see, as far as T13 go, I have a high amount of them. We get to 12, and obviously, this is where the mouth's agape. But at 12, I have a significantly higher proportion of those. I do believe that T12 wall plays harmoniously into the siege defense or any other defense, but it certainly does mine. It just really works magically with those 12 high like that. 11, we got pretty equal numbers, and I keep that all the way down the same way. I pretty much keep my siege the same. They're really not elevated at all. So focusing on siege portion of the troops, that is what that looks like right there. And to address the other question and comment really briefly, because I guess it doesn't not play into this, even though not directly. The set I was targeting that I didn't really talk about on defense is I selected Coro. Now, I'll just be frank with you, and you might chuckle about this. I hope you do. I chuckle a lot. I haven't even looked at any of the new Civilization sets, so I couldn't even tell you if there's better defense sets or what's going on. I know Coro well. I've used it. I like it. I targeted it early, so I'm sticking with it. I happen to like Coro. It's just to me, it's a super great in-city set. These attributes are really good. I'll just briefly show you that one right there, those basic attributes with the debuffs. But then also the bonus you get from the set, which I've only got 4 pieces right now, but that in-city ground and mounted defense and HP 30 and range troop and siege machine attack 20. That's super excellent. You nail that 6th piece on that set and get that in-city troop defense at HP at 25%, you are banging. Right? And I've got the bracers on. Coro bracers, you can see the attributes there. Also some debuffs, which are always nice in there. And then the Coro boots. Again, debuff combination as well as buff, and then the Coro armor. Now, these blue stars you see or don't see on my gear right here, I do not want to go deeply in this video, but in light of just showing the gear, this is essentially, it's like putting red stars on your general. Once you get it starred, you start again. So the best way to sum that up is freaking cost, like everything. But anyway, if you understand Ascension, or the red stars up here on your general, this works the same way on this gear. If you go into view and go to amplify, which I of course cannot do because I've got this piece done. Coming over here to the armor set, it will let me hit amplify. And oh no, we don't want to refine. See, it requires these extra Coro armor scrolls, 12, and I only have 7, and then the meteoric stones. And then every time you add a star to it, it just adds more attribute. You can see right here, right? It's adding 3%, 3%, 3%. Looks like 3%, 3%, 3%, and 1% to everything to go up another star. So nice to get those open, and you can see they glow once you you get them done, amplified, fully amplified. All right, guys, it's been a long video. We ran over Siege, some of my basic concepts and ideas, how I sort of break down the Siege and the defense right there. I know it was surface, bear with me. We'll get deeper sometime. And look forward to the next video. I'm going to get into other troop types, and we'll start tying this thing together and making some sense of it and actually being able to apply some of this stuff to your accounts. If you've been hanging with me the whole channel, I know we're brand new. We've only got a few videos. You haven't really been able to practically use anything I've told you so far, and I get that. But I approach my videos like I approach Evony. It's a fine wine, man. It don't happen overnight. And it's the same thing with this channel. If you're willing to learn things over a long course of time, stick with me. I'm not the guy that gives you 15 minutes to fame. I don't think that exists. But long cooking. Take a long time to roll to it. Any changes you were to learn from anyone else or me, you're not going to do overnight anyways. It's going to take you some time. So let's just slow cook it like a fine wine. Thank you guys for joining in with me. Hope your glitching stays low because EvonyBites, man. Out.